All right, welcome to the podcast. This is Whitney with Wright Homes, and I'm with Cody with Financial Network. Cody, we wanted to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. We wanted to chat just a little bit about coverage, right? We're all worried about the what ifs.
Exactly.
And when something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you're going to help us be prepared for that, right?
I'll do my best.
Okay. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about when someone's looking for a home. They come to us, they come to one of our Wright Homes communities. When should they talk to you? Say they've never purchased a home before. This is their first time. What's the process look like for them?
Yeah. So a couple of factors that go into a quote is going to be the location and then size of the home is going to be two main factors. And so we can give them a good idea of what it's going to cost from when they're first going into it. We can give them an estimate between a couple $100. Really, if they can get us a breakdown of the home details, we can get them a better idea, but really we wouldn't lock down a rate until 30 days in advance.
Okay. Do they need to have their insurance figured out with you before they go under contract? Or it's like, I'm going to go under contract. And I mean, we just talked to Taylor, who's our preferred lender with Security National. I believe you're able to work directly with him to make sure, because I know Taylor on his side is going to require that homeowner's insurance is in place. And is that something you communicate with Taylor with, or that you communicate with the buyer?
Yeah, so usually it's easiest between me and the buyer to get it locked down on the policy they want and the coverages they want.
Okay.
Once that's taken care of, then it's easiest for me to work with Taylor and their team, and that way the buyer doesn't have to worry about the stress of being the communicating person between it all. So we can handle that all between the lender. They just want that policy when they submit for final approval, and so we get that done between us and the lender.
Okay, so you kind of decide with the homeowner on what coverages they want, what that kind of includes, and then you turn it over to Taylor of like, let us worry about closing and get that all taken care of. That's nice.
One less thing for them to worry about.
For sure. There's so much in the aspects of moving that I know that it can get super overwhelming. That's great that's one thing that you can kind of take on for them.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. What do you require as far as like needing a quote? I know you said like obviously, so location, size. Are you going to like pull credit? Are you going to like, do you need like their income information? What do you need for insurance?
Yeah. So really to get a good idea, all we need is just their name, their birthday, their address, and then their prior address, because they're going to use their insurance history to pull information from that. And then really just a few home details like square footage, number of bathrooms, and then the address of where it's going to be, because they're going to rate it based off the zip code. Okay. And so just a couple of those things, and we can get a pretty accurate rate on what it's going to be. Okay,
great. What type of coverage does somebody need when they're looking for a home?
Yeah, so that's the big question, because if you're going to go buy a home for, let's say, $750,000, you don't know how much coverage you need if, say, that were to go up in flames and you had to start over from scratch. Well, if you're going to buy a home that's on, let's say, a quarter acre, then you don't need to insure the land. You're just going to need to insure the structure. If it were to go up in flames, you would still own the land. So we just want to make sure that the structure of the home is insured. And so we're basically going to use that same square footage, number of bathrooms, custom finishes, or any type of the finishes. That way we can get a good idea of what it would be to replace just the structure and leave the value of the land out of it.
Okay, that's great. When someone buys a townhome, I know that our Parkside townhomes have an HOA where the exterior is included in the HOA. Maybe you can give us a little more information about that. But I know the insurance is different than, say, Fox Landing. We're sitting in our Fox Landing community in Draper, where the HOA does not cover the exterior. So what's the differences insurance-wise on those?
Yeah, and so the nice thing with the HOA coverage, it's in place like in Parkside, is they're going to cover the structure of the home, also with any attached furnishings or any attached, like the HVAC, plumbing. That's all included in the main structure of the home. Okay. And the HOA just has a deductible of $10,000 that goes to the homeowner. So really what we're going to do is we're going to insure up to that $10,000 limit so that they don't have to come up with that. And we're going to get them a $500 or $1,000 deductible So if something were to happen, that's what they would be responsible for.
If something happened to like the HVAC or like
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, or
that is
let's say
included.
in the other case of a fire, let's say the fire happened, then they would pay their policy deductible, and their policy would cover the HOA deductible.
Okay.
And then the other things we're covering on a condo policy is what it is for Parkside, is also their personal belongings, personal property inside the home. So any electronics, furniture, appliances, they're covering that so that that can be covered if something were to happen in their home.
Okay. Does that save them money with the HOA covering the exterior? Obviously, that makes it sound like maybe the insurance would cost less in a townhome versus
Yeah,
a single family home.
it is. And part of the cost does get wrapped into their HOA fee every month. So part of that cost comes from there for their HOA coverage.
Okay.
But then their own policy is going to be a lot cheaper because they can choose how much coverage they want for their personal property, their deductible. And so it's a lot cheaper going that route.
Okay, so we have some of our homeowners that come in and buy. I know I was just talking with Taylor about rental properties, and they come in and buy one of our townhomes or a single family home, and they decide, you know, we're going to hold on to this one when we move. It's time to rent. How does their insurance look different in that aspect?
Yeah, so typically with that, you're not going to have the whole house furnished with your own like furniture or appliances. Maybe you might have appliances, but electronics you may not have.
Yeah.
And so when it's a townhome, we're still going to insure it under that condo policy, but we're going to do it with a landlord policy. So we're still covering the deductible on the townhome, but then we're going to remove the personal property coverage, maybe cover enough for the appliances. The main coverage that you want on a landlord policy is enough liability coverage. Okay. So if someone gets injured on your property because you didn't maintain it correctly, then they could sue you and come after you for that. So we just want to make sure we have enough liability coverage on a landlord policy.
Okay. When we talked about our Jackson community where they can live on their main level and have a basement apartment underneath, is that the same type of policy?
It's going to be a little different because since you're living there, it's your primary residence. We still want to insure it under a homeowner's and not a landlord policy. But then we add an additional coverage for having a renter inside your house that protects you on that same liability standpoint. So, and we would typically increase your liability coverage just for that extra risk of having someone living on your property.
Okay. Yeah, that's really great for them to know. I know it's like planning wise, just so they know who they need to contact to let them know that things are changing. How is it difference wise? I know I have had an agent and I don't know anything different in insurance, but I know some people don't have an insurance agent. How do you benefit that and when they come straight to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, today it's really easy to get quotes online. Pretty much every carrier has a way for you to get it online, or you can call in directly. You know, there's a lot of ways that people can do it themselves. There's just some additional risks with insurance where when you do it yourself, you may not know, or additional coverages, you may not know the full benefit of what it means, what it costs. And so the benefit of having an agent is that person, they've seen, you know, all kinds of cases. For example, we've seen lots of cases in how coverage could be used in claims or unexpected things that happens at a house. And so the benefit of having an agent is they know what coverage gets used a lot and how much, and they can help you understand the value in an extra coverage that you may not normally see.
Which it all looks good for us until something goes wrong.
Exactly. You
And then we hope that we did it online correctly.
Exactly.
Right?
You never want to use your insurance policy, but when you have to, you hope it's done right.
Yeah. And I think just in the aspect of our real estate agents, we rely them to be the experts to help our buyers like choose the right home. And I think we rely on you and Taylor to make sure that they're covered in insurance and in their financing. So I think we've got a great team together, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
We're super happy to have you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.